Hey everyone, welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about Serve Robotics. They're really making a name for themselves in autonomous delivery. You can find them on the Nasdaq under the ticker symbol SRRV. And get this, their stock price has just exploded. It's up like 180% in just the last 6 months. To give you some context, the ZAC's computer and technology sector only went up by 15.2%, and the IT services industry grew by 19.2%. And this was all over the same time period. So what's behind this crazy growth? Well, today we're going to dig into their recent financials. We'll look at some of their key partnerships. The big question, what does all of this mean for you as a potential investor?
You know what's really interesting? SRV's growth isn't some fluke. We're actually seeing a lot of small cap stocks doing better than the large cap stocks. I think a lot of this is thanks to the post-election economic optimism and some positive policy shifts. But what makes SRV really stand out is how they're riding this wave and becoming a leader in a booming industry. So let's get down to the numbers. SRV is currently trading at $17.37 a share. That's up from earlier today. And their operational growth in Q2 and Q3 of 2024 has been amazing. I mean, in Q2 alone, they saw a 106% year-over-year increase in their daily supply hours and an 85% increase in their number of active robots. And then Q3 rolls around, they hit 465 daily supply hours. That's a wild 108% increase year-over-year.
These numbers are pretty impressive on their own, but they become even more impressive when you factor in the overall performance of the consumer discretionary sector, which SRV is a part of. This sector is seeing some big gains, mainly because of expectations for continued economic growth and potential tax cuts. It all paints a really good picture for SRV to keep this upward trend going. Plus, they've got a strong financial base, around $50.9 million in cash reserves at the end of Q3, and no debt. Okay, so they've got the financial performance, and the market's on their side. But let's not forget about the strategic partnerships they've got. Those are really pushing them forward. Their expanded partnership with Magna International is a perfect example. Magna is now the only contract manufacturer for SRV's delivery robots, and their goal is to get up to 2,000 of these robots out there on the Uber Eats platform in the US.
Outsourcing the manufacturing to Magna. That was a smart move by SRV. It lets them take advantage of Magna's expertise and scale up production fast. And that's super important because SRV is not just sticking to food delivery anymore. They're looking at expanding into other delivery areas. And this partnership with Magna gives them the power to do that.
And then there's this really cool collaboration with Wing Aviation. They're taking SRV's sidewalk robots and combining them with Wing's drone delivery capabilities. It's like a multimodal delivery service. So picture this. SRV robots pick up orders from restaurants, take them to a Wing autoloader, and then the drones swoop in and deliver those orders to customers up to 6 miles away.
Yeah, this robot-to-drone handoff, that's a game changer. It makes delivery way faster and cheaper, plus it's a lot better for the environment. Compared to your typical delivery methods, both the robots and the drones run on electricity, so you're also cutting down on carbon emissions.
And we can't forget about Uber Eats. That partnership gives SERV access to Uber's huge network and all those customers. It's a ready-made platform for their robots. And then they've got their partnership with Elster for LiDAR technology, which helps the robots navigate and avoid obstacles. And get this, there are rumors about potential partnerships with big retailers like Walmart. That could really open up some amazing possibilities.
I think what really impresses me about ServeRV's approach to partnerships is how they're putting themselves right in the middle of this whole autonomous delivery world. They're not trying to do it all themselves, they're working with the big players, using their strengths and experience. This lets SRV focus on what they do best, developing those cutting-edge robotics and automation solutions. And it seems like investors are noticing. And that investor confidence is showing up in how analysts are looking at SRV. They've got a strong buy rating right now. It's based on what 5 different analysts are saying. 2 gave it a buy, and the other 3 went all out with a strong buy.
That's a pretty big thumbs up from the analysts. What's making them so optimistic?
Well, a lot of it has to do with SerV's track record. I mean, they deliver. Plus, they've got those strategic partnerships we were talking about. And their plans for expanding are ambitious. Analysts are betting that those delivery robots are going to keep rolling out, especially with partnerships like the one with Magna International. That's what they think is going to drive revenue growth over the next few years. And we've even seen some analysts upgrading their ratings recently. It shows that more and more people believe in SRV's business model, and they see the potential for the long haul.
So it sounds like there are a lot of reasons to be excited about SRV. But as investors, we got to look at the challenges too. One thing that jumps out is that SRV isn't profitable yet. They're spending more than they're making, which means they're ending up with net losses.
True, but it's important to see those losses in context. SRV is still a pretty young company. And they're in this high growth phase. They're pouring money into research and development, they're expanding their operations, they're building up their infrastructure. All that takes a big investment up front. And it can definitely affect profitability in the short term. But the good news is SRV is actively trying to streamline things. They're working on their efficiency, like they're always fine-tuning their robot design and their algorithms. That helps cut down maintenance costs and make deliveries faster. And as they get bigger, they'll start to see those economies of scale. So we can expect those losses to shrink and eventually turn into profits.
That makes sense. And I guess we should mention that SRV is not playing in an empty field. There are other companies out there trying to grab a piece of that autonomous delivery market.
Oh, absolutely. Competition is something to watch. But I think SRV has a few aces up its sleeve. First, their technology is solid. Their robots are already out there working in the real world. They've got a track record of success. Second, their partnerships give them a huge advantage. They've got access to resources, distribution channels, and tons of customers. And finally, they're really focused on innovation. That means they're always improving their tech and staying one step ahead.
So for investors who are thinking about getting into the autonomous delivery market, SRV seems like a pretty good bet. They've got the growth, the tech, the partnerships, and the momentum. But as always, do your homework, understand the risks, and make your decisions based on your own goals and how much risk you're comfortable with.
Couldn't agree more. Informed investing is crucial. And with a company like SRV, it's not just about the numbers and who they're working with. It's also about understanding the big picture. What are the trends that are shaping the industry? And how is this technology going to impact society as a whole?
That's a great point. So let's step back for a minute and think about the bigger picture. How do you see SRV and this rise of autonomous delivery changing how we live and work in the future?
Well, the implications are huge, and we're really just starting to see the beginning of it, this widespread adoption of autonomous delivery. It could completely disrupt how we do deliveries now, and it could change so many industries. Think about the impact on e-commerce, logistics, retail, even restaurants. Deliveries could be so much faster and more predictable. Businesses could become more efficient and save money, and consumers would have so much more convenience and flexibility.
It's like something out of a sci-fi movie come to life. Robots zooming all over our cities, delivering everything from groceries to packages to takeout.
It's really an exciting time to be watching this all unfold, and companies like SRV are right at the front of it all. But just like with any technology that shakes things up, there are going to be challenges and things to think about.
Like what, for example?
Well, one of the biggest hurdles is regulation. Autonomous delivery is pretty new. There are a lot of legal and ethical questions that need answers. We need to make sure these robots are safe on our streets and sidewalks. We have to figure out who's responsible if there's an accident. And we need clear rules about data privacy and security.
Yeah, there's a lot of complicated stuff that regulators and policymakers are still trying to figure out. And then there's the question of how people feel about it. How are people going to react to having robots deliver their stuff? Will they trust the technology? Will they be okay with sharing the streets and sidewalks with these machines?
Those are good questions. I think whether people accept it or not is going to be a make or break factor for autonomous delivery. Companies like SRV need to make safety, transparency, and community engagement their top priorities. They have to show people that their technology is reliable, safe, and good for everyone. And they need to address people's concerns and worries.
So it sounds like there's still work to do, both on the tech side and on the people side. But there's no doubt that autonomous delivery has the potential to change things for the better. It could make our lives simpler, more efficient, and more sustainable.
Yeah, it really could be a game changer. And companies like Serve Robotics are leading the way. They're pushing the limits of what's possible and setting the stage for a future where autonomous delivery is just part of everyday life.
And they're not just focused on today. Serve Robotics has some big plans for expansion, like moving into new markets, like Dallas-Fort Worth. They're not afraid to go big and try to grab a bigger piece of the market.
Exactly. They're thinking long term, and that's one of the things that's got investors so excited about them. They see Serve Robotics becoming a household name in delivery, just like Uber or Amazon has become giants in their industries.
Where you have it, folks. Serve Robotics. They're shaking things up in the delivery world. And they've got investors all over paying attention. We've talked about their incredible growth, their partnerships, what the analysts are saying, and we even got into some of the challenges they might face. And the big question, what does autonomous delivery mean for the world?
It's been a really interesting conversation. And I think the main takeaway for our listeners is this: keep your eye on Serve Robotics. Their story is still being written, but they're in a great position to really shape the future of delivery.
I totally agree. It's been great having you here today. Thanks for sharing your insights with us on Investing Talk podcast.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to all our listeners out there, I hope you found this episode useful and interesting. If you liked our look at Serve Robotics, don't forget to subscribe to Investing Talk podcast. That way you won't miss any of our future episodes, where we'll be breaking down the latest trends and opportunities in the world of investing. And hey, why not share this episode with your friends and colleagues? Anyone who might be interested in learning more about Serve Robotics and the future of autonomous delivery. We always love hearing from you. So leave us a comment below and tell us what you think. Are you optimistic about Serve Robotics? Do you think autonomous delivery is the way of the future? Let us know. Until next time, happy investing.